up, elevators? Barry here.
Laz here.
And welcome back to another episode with MBE. So last episode we spoke about what is feminine and masculine energy. So this episode is going to be all about what is too much of either. So I'm going to begin with too much masculine energy with a female.
Right, so basically a female that has way too much or an imbalance of masculine energy.
Yeah. The first characteristic of too much masculine is insecure of exposing their bodies. Too conservative.
Why is it that a woman with too much masculine energy is more reluctant to show off their body? Why is there a lack of confidence?
Too much in their head. If you have too much masculine energy, you're very thought driven. So you're always in your head. You think too much.
Do you feel that maybe a woman that has too much masculine energy is afraid to show off her body because she doesn't feel, feminine enough? Maybe she doesn't feel pretty or attractive, and she feels like she's not like the other girls.
Correct. I mean, think about it. Like, society right now, we're so pressured. Like, women are very pressured to look a certain way, especially because social media really has pushed that. So there's a lot of insecurities in women and in men. But when it comes to women, one of the insecurities is, I don't feel like I can be as sexy as other women. They don't feel like they're worthy enough or good enough because of expectations social media has put, or we believe it's put, because there's no real expectation, but we've made ourselves believe that there is. So when you have too much masculine as a female, you're afraid to express yourself in an intimate way.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely agree that society has placed a lot of pressures on how to look and what's hot, what's not hot. For a guy, it's similar. We have to have freaking 10-pack and, big ass bicep muscles to be considered a man. But that's, it's outplayed. We know that it's more than just physical. It's what's inside a person that really makes them a man or a woman.
Another characteristic of too much masculine energy on a female is too domineering. Doesn't allow themselves to be guided or led.
So that would be like a woman that's more closed off, more defensive, right?
Yes.
They feel like they're independent, and that's a good thing. But I feel like sometimes it's a little too much, and they end up closing themselves off to opportunities of creating relationships with other people.
Exactly. They're too conservative. The third characteristic of too much masculine energy in a female is fear of being loved.
Why is that?
Masculine energy is all about control and order. So if you're a female and you have too much masculine energy, you are very controlling, or things have to be your way.
Right, and that correlates kind of what we were talking about in the last one. But this one's a little different.
Exactly.
Because when a woman seeks too much control, what can happen?
They don't get what they want. So they're pushing it away by wanting it so much.
Oh, I see. So if you want something too much, you can possibly drive it away instead of attract it to you.
Exactly.
Okay. And how can this affect your relationships with people?
If you fear being loved and being given love and taken care of, feeling vulnerable, that's really what it's about, vulnerability, then you can push those you love away from you, because those you love are going to want to show you that they love you. But if you have too much masculine energy, you're going to push them away.
Right.
Another characteristic of too much masculine energy in a female is arrogance. If you have too much male, there's too much going on in your head. Yang is all about thought. So there's a lot of thinking going on in your head. And that causes you to feel like you're superior to others, or you feel like you're better than others. and it correlates back to controlling. You don't feel like you need to be guided by anybody because you know everything or you know more than others. So you don't need help from others.
Do you feel like that arrogance is a self-defense mechanism?
Of course.
Yeah, because I feel like women who are too arrogant because of their masculine energy, they want to feel like they're in power. They want to feel like they're above anybody else because they don't want to feel weak. So somebody who's arrogant always feels like they're above other people and they're better because they themselves feel weak inside. They have to project some power onto the person or people around them to feel in control, to feel powerful.
The first characteristic of too much female in a female is self-absorbed. So a female who cares only about herself.
Does that have to do with what you were saying about feminine energy, how it absorbs?
Exactly. So you absorb yourself too much, or it's all about you. The energy that you use, you use it for yourself. You don't use it to help others or for other people.
It's like a selfish sponge.
The next characteristic of too much feminine energy in a female is over-emotional or overly sensitive. So it would be a female who uses her emotions to manipulate somebody for her own personal gain. And that correlates back to self-absorbed. A self-absorbed person is selfish, obviously. So when you're selfish, you're going to use your emotions to manipulate others.
How does selfishness correlate with the female energy? Why is it that more female energy induces more selfishness?
Because the feminine energy is all about absorbing. So it's all about taking, receiving. So if all you're doing is taking energy, you're being selfish because you're not giving as much as you are taking.
It's interesting how those things correlate with these actions. Like,
right?
with what, for example, the female energy is all about absorbing, and that could be good but also bad.
Exactly.
And the bad characteristic would be that, which is being super selfish and just wanting everything. So greed, really.
Yep, exactly. Greed.
Okay.
And crazy how that correlates back. And greed has to do with money. So if you have too much female energy as a female, you're greedy with your money and you only want to use your money for you. You don't want to use your money for other people.
That is true. That is very true.
Yeah. And then
that's why there's so many shopaholics that most of them tend to be women. Sorry, ladies, but it's true.
So the following characteristic of too much female in a female is lack of selflessness. So a woman who doesn't do actions just to want to help somebody else. It's a woman who does actions only to help herself.
Interesting. Okay. That makes sense, and it correlates with the last one as well. You know, a person who just cares or thinks about themselves is not going to go out of their way to help anybody in any situation unless it benefits them in some way.
Exactly. The following characteristic of too much female in a female is coldness, passiveness. It's a woman who isn't very nurturing because the feminine energy is yin, and yin is water and coldness, whereas yang, it's heat, fire.
Right, so a woman who has too much female energy can tend to be cold in person, you know, because to be nurturing, you have to be loving and giving. You have to really care about someone.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, that all goes back to giving, and if you're too cold, you don't have any of that.
You're just receiving.
Right, you just want to receive, you never want to give. So that's another sign right there.
The last characteristic of too much female in a female is too submissive. So a woman who lacks sense of direction. It's like the complete opposite of too much masculine. They don't want to be guided, but too much female is like, I don't care, whatever happens, happens.
Jesus, take the wheel.
Literally, you know, and that's not really a good thing because then you're lost. You don't really know where you're going. You're just going, and there's no purpose there if you don't know where you're going.
Yep, just like driftwood on the beach. is consume, 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 and never get back, never plant any seeds.
Yep.
You don't get to harvest anything.
Yep.
All you get is nothing, essentially.
As terrible as it sounds, that's the truth.
Yeah, I know it's a little depressing, and don't start cutting yourselves, you know. But it's the truth. It's the truth,
Yes.
and we have to realize it, and we have to watch out for these signs.
Yeah, we have to bring that to our attention. If not, we're not aware of it.
All right, ladies, we're officially done messing with you guys. Now it's on to the males. So we're gonna start off with a male that has too much male energy. So a male with too much male energy tends to be very arrogant and very alpha mentality.
Yeah.
You know, very territorial, very aggressive. So if you have one of these qualities, you are arrogant. Hey man, call it like I see it. There's nothing wrong with being an alpha in the right time. There is something wrong with being an alpha all the time. Because a good leader knows when to be led. And a male with too much male energy is not going to let himself be led by anybody else.
I'm glad that you pointed out that if you're a male with too much male, you don't like to be led because you have an alpha mentality, because there's this stigma that men have to always lead. And that's what I feel has caused men to think a woman can't lead them. You get me?
You're touching the right buttons.
I know.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Men have been taught that through society, through media, through just culture, that we are the ones who lead, we are the providers.
It's a man's world.
It's a man's world, you know. We can't really picture a woman leading us, but it's not like it hasn't happened before. There have been women throughout history who have been great leaders, and women are more than capable of leading men and women. We just don't see it that way with today's society.
As a man, you should allow a woman to give you a sense of direction. Just because you're a man doesn't mean you know it all.
Yeah, it's like they say, behind every powerful man, there's an equally powerful woman right beside him, giving him advice and steering him in the right direction.
Exactly.
Because men alone can be powerful, but also very dangerous and untamed. I feel like a woman really gives a man his measure. You know, it helps him organize himself in a way that he can't do on his own sometimes. I feel a man is just like a raw power, right? Like just chaotic energy. And women is just that control, that line, you know, that direction that you need. So another characteristic of a man with too much male energy would be a man who's too domineering, too controlling. And it all has to do with power. When a man is too controlling, or wants to control a lot of things or people, it's because they themselves feel like they're not in control, that they're powerless. So again, it's the same thing with the female, just the male version looks slightly different. It's all about projecting power, to seem like you're in control, to not lose control. So whenever you feel like you're being too controlling and you want things to go a certain way, realize that in that moment and step back and ask yourself, do I really need to have this much control right now? Should I just let things go the way they should? And sometimes we realize that by letting things flow, they turn out better than if we would have intervened.
Yeah.
So it's about noticing these moments and taking a step back and realizing, should I or should I not? Another characteristic of an out of balance male with too much male would be an overly competitive person. Somebody who always wants to win. Somebody who always wants to be the one to be on top. And again, it goes back to control and power. It all correlates with each other. And it looks very similar on each gender. You know, it's just slightly different on male than on female. But that would manifest itself as aggression, actually even selfishness too. Because you'll do anything to win. Because you have to win. Because you gotta be the guy on top. You gotta be the powerful one.
You gotta be the best.
And if you lose, you're worthless. You're powerless. and that scares you.
Yeah, fear of failure. That's huge if you have too much masculine energy and you're a male.
Right, and at the end of the day, you have to realize if you find yourself in this position, you have to realize that you don't always have to win. It's not about winning. If it's your time to lose, then accept it and be humble, like a real man. That's what to me, that's what a real man is all about. It's understanding that you have control of everything, that you don't always have to win, and to be humble and honorable. A real man is honorable. They respect others and give credit where credit is due.
Because if they don't, then they're prideful.
And prideful man is a dangerous man. So like a female with too much female, a male with too much male can be way too sexualized, way too sex driven. They just want to everything. So this is bad, obviously, because of many reasons. STDs, you can hurt people, you can hurt yourself.
You can use people, take advantage of people.
Right, and that also comes back to selfishness. You feel like people are just tools or things for you to use. That's not an honorable thing for a man to do. A man should have respect for every living being there is, like whether it be a dog, a cat, a man, a woman. Like, we have to have respect for certain things, and we have to have boundaries. Because a man who's too sexualized doesn't have boundaries.
No morals.
No morals. Lack of morals, yeah. Most definitely, and that can definitely be dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have limits. So
yeah.
When you have limits, you have morals. Because morality is what creates limits.
And that would be a great example of a man without direction. A man with over-sexualized energy can cause a lot of chaos. Because they're not going to have a partner next to them to guide them. They're just going to run amok and cause more chaos and sorrow and whatever. So this is why it's important to realize all these negative traits so that we can step back and really think this out and assess the situation. Alright, so now we're going to be moving on to our final characteristic, which would be a man with too much female energy. So what does that look like? Now, a man with too much female energy will be a man who's not a protector, who doesn't protect, who is afraid to protect, a man who feels powerless.
A powerless man is an insecure man. So if an insecure man is a powerless man, then this type of man is a cowardly man.
Right.
Because they feel powerless, they don't feel like they have the courage to address or confront any situation that makes them feel uncomfortable. So
by being insecure as a man, not only will you become cowardly, but also you'll have a low drive. You'll be lazy. You don't want to really get much done because you don't think there's a point in any of it. Because maybe you feel like you can't get it done, or it's not worth your time, or you think that you don't have the ability or power to do so. And a man like this is a man who's too much in his head. And when this occurs, you don't get anything done.
Yeah.
You get stuck in the what ifs and you don't take the action. You're too much in your feelings and your thoughts, and you don't have the drive or the fire to push through it and get things done.
I like that you said that drive, that fire, because that's masculine energy. And what are we talking about?
A man with too much feminine energy.
Exactly. So if you have too much feminine energy, then you have no fire, no drive, no ambition.
Well, let me correct you there. It's not that you don't have it, it's that it's very low. It's very, it's in there. It's really deep in there.
You just gotta spark it up though. You gotta spark it.
Gotta add some gas to the fire.
There you go. Yeah.
So because a man has a low drive and no sense of fire, no sense of push, they have no direction, no drive to be pushed to go a certain way.
No purpose.
So what happens?
It feels like they don't have a purpose.
Right. And so what happens when this occurs? You feel lost. And a lost man can be easily manipulated.
Yes.
A lost man is a man without conviction, without will. A man that can be easily controlled. And that's the final cherry on top of everything. All these things all lead to that one last thing, which is a defeated man. A man who is lost is a man who is defeated. Conquered.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel as a man is the most scariest thing. A man who is conquered. To be conquered is a scary thought. To feel like you've lost, to feel like you've been defeated.
That's why there has to be a balance, or there has to be a desire to have a balance. Now that we know what each of these energies are, and if you don't go to our last episode and we explained it to you what each of these energies are, that way you can understand which one do you have more of or less of, and be conscious of them. Be conscious of what you lack in order for us to not get conquered, in order for us to always feel sovereign,
To feel holy, to feel full,
free.
free, yeah. I like
To
that.
feel free.
To feel free. It's all about that, guys. It's about feeling right with yourself and not feeling like you're stuck, you're trapped.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, whenever we feel trapped or we feel like we can't get out of a certain situation, it's because we put ourselves there.
Exactly.
Mentally.
Yeah.
It's you create your reality. Whatever you believe, it's what's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're out of balance, you're going to be in a bad situation.
Your life will be out of balance, or your reality will be out of balance because you yourself are out of balance.
Right? And ergo, you will be lost. You will feel lost.
Or confused.
And confused. Well, lost and confused.
Yeah.
Right? Because you have no sense of direction, no sense of purpose, because you feel weak, you feel trapped. And that is how we take away our freedoms, ourselves.
Yeah.
The mind is that powerful. So this is why we do this. This is why we talk about this, so people are aware of how easy it is to become susceptible to these things.
Yeah. It's easy to fall in a trap, but it's as easy to get out of it.
Right.
We just think it's not.
Right. A great analogy would be you are the warden of your own prison, and the prison in which you lock yourself in, you have the key to get out. It's the same thing.
Exactly.
So remember that, guys. We are the warden of our own misery. Alright guys, so those are our thoughts on what imbalances on the male and female energies could look like and how we can address them. On the next video, we're going to be talking about what a balanced human being looks like. Balanced male, balanced female. And what you can do to get there.
Thank you guys so much for watching our video. Please like and subscribe and comment down below, and we'll see you guys next time.
Peace!